With my council members, we have Tom Kopere, Irene Otto, Teresia Wavinya, Steve Bogwa. Those are some of the council members that have joined us here today.
Thank you. So, the purpose for which we've been here, and we have spent over 1 hour, 1.5 hours actually, at this DCI's headquarters. We have met with the Deputy Director of the DCI to raise concerns on a number of issues. First is the issue of unexplained disappearances of a number of people. We gave him a list of almost 39 people who had been either reported to us as members of parliament or reported to the Law Society as missing. And many of them were held incommunicado. The reports suggest that they were all abducted in different places, some in police stations, some in the streets, and in most of those cases, they were abducted by persons who did not identify themselves, persons who then blindfolded them, and persons who took them to different places which could not be explained. We were here to raise our concerns about the inhuman treatment, the torture and inhuman treatment that many of them have suffered. And we will explain that shortly. In many of those cases, we are told they were blindfolded, they were taken places they don't know, and ultimately, they were released in places that they did not know, some actually naked, and we'll come to the specific cases. We were here to raise concerns with the extreme violence and executions that we have seen by the police, both in uniform and not in uniform, because we believe that the DCI are the right organs to investigate all those. Many of you have witnessed police officers captured on camera executing Kenyans in cold blood. We were here to raise the issue of the quietude by the DCI in the face of all this. Many people have been abducted, including the son of the Attorney General, who was later released. No one has told us who abducted him, why he was abducted, and the circumstances. So we are here to urge the DCI that we need them to speak to Kenyans. As we have explained, in these instances, we know of cases that have gone viral. You all know the case of Gabriel Oguda, who was apparently arrested or abducted in Nairobi and eventually found somewhere in Kajiado. You all know the case of Ernest Nyerere, who is actually here, the PA to Madam President Faith Odhiambo, who was actually abducted from his house at dawn by people with guns, for reasons that cannot be explained up to now. We know the case, and it will be explained shortly, of Wangila Wabomba, who is the PA to Honorable Wanami, who has been missing for the last 4 days, and who only last night was apparently found somewhere in Ruiru, was dumped somewhere in Ruiru, and Wamboka will explain that. Lately, you saw the case of Joshua Okaya, the president of the Kenya School of Law Students Association, a gentleman who is from my constituency and a member of our profession, and whose case was ably raised by the president of the Law Society of Kenya, and who, as we speak, we understand was dumped somewhere in Muranga, and we are just making arrangements to find a way of having him picked to now be brought to Nairobi. As we speak, we know of at least 10 cases of persons who are still missing. Cases who may not be so prominent, but whose families are suffering. We have left the following names of persons who are missing with the DCI. The one is Kevin Monari, Zadok Nyangari, Hilary Avugwe, Brian Nzavi, Ian Kweba, Dennis Kimani, Wambui Kinywa, Eric Kirima, Kelvin Kiruti, and James Kinywa. We know and we suspect that might be other cases that are yet to be reported. We urge those who know of families that are missing, please give the names to the Law Society of Kenya, or please give the names to your local member of parliament, so that we consolidate this list. And if we receive more names, we will submit them to the DCI. The DCI has assured us that they will do these investigations. They have assured us that even where the police might be involved, they will unearth and they will bring it to the fore. They have assured us that they will follow up these questions of the missing persons, because the DCI is also a police station. So essentially, we have formally reported these persons as missing, and they've also assured us that they'll issue a communication about our meeting. Let me invite the president of the Law Society to speak to you. And
Exchange with her.
So just picking up from where Honorable Otiende Amollo has stopped, I want to urge that I've been receiving so many phone calls, so many distress calls, and so we are urging you, even on our toll-free line, submit those names, or if you have to submit them directly to me, indicate the full names, ID numbers, and the police station that you have reported wherever in the country. We will continue to compile names and table them before the DCI to ensure everyone that has gone missing, we're able to try and ensure that they are found within this period that they have been protested. So as many as possible, if you have information and credible information, we urge not to play around with this forum, but make use of it so that we can try as much as possible to trace all your missing loved ones. With the case of Joshua Okayo, he was found somewhere in Moranga, and we are aware that they were able to get him, and he's now at Avenue Hospital in Thika receiving treatment. And we will be able to speak with him later on to just discuss part of the challenges, the ordeal that he went through, because he was missing for over a day, and his family and his loved ones who kept calling consistently, trying to look for him and trying to find him. And we're happy with the kind of attitude that the DCI have taken over this matter, and we hope that we can hold them accountable to ensure that there's proper investigations. We have seen police officers that cannot be identified. We have seen them looking like Al-Shabaab, covering their faces, covering their heads, covering their full bodies so they cannot be identified, particularly the red pickup that the plates are totally turned up so that no one can be able to identify, no one can be able to report. Police should be properly dressed with the identification so that members can raise complaints, members can raise concerns. If police are dressed like thugs, who are we supposed to trust will ensure that we can report our concerns to, and how can we be assured that those are actually police officers? And the question that we are asking the Inspector General, are these your police officers, are these Kenya Defence Forces, who are these, that we can raise concerns over the same? And so we are asking police should be properly dressed and identified. If they are doing the right thing, then there is nothing to worry about. We raise concern, particularly the police officer that was seen launching a tear gas canister directly at close range at the journalists that were recording what he was doing. There needs to be an accountability in this country. There needs to be transparency. And so no one is above the law, including that police officer. And we hope that the DCI will investigate the same and bring that police officer to book. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. At such a time, I think first we thank God that my personal assistant is found and alive. Though very traumatized, it's not a very good thing to happen. We just pray for the others who are also missing to be found. This young man was coming from Kasarani area to town to the office. He was arrested among 13 other members. They were taken to Central Police Station. While there searching them to book them in, he had, of course, his business cards. So when they realized where he works, they sent him back to the truck, blindfolded him, and started moving around with him until about late in the night, when they took him to some room he cannot explain, gave him soda and bread, after which they again blindfolded him, moving around in this town, or somewhere looked like in this town, only to be dumped yesterday at night in the coffee farms in Ruiru, naked. So as we speak, he's recuperating, receiving treatment at Avenue Hospital, and we thank God that he's alive. It is a very traumatizing thing, and it is something that should not happen to any Kenyan. We live in a free country where democracy, we've come very far in this democracy. And we're just appealing to the government. Please, there can never be any government without people. Please have respect for human rights and for humanity at large. So we still hope that those who are missing will be found. And if anyone thought that by doing that, they can scare us, they can pull us together into being cheerleaders, we are not going to do it. It is not going to be it's not going to happen. We will remain the fighters of democracy. We will remain on the side of people. Aluta continua.
I'd like to add something. And I want to also say that the days of Idi Amin should not happen in Kenya. Idi Amin was once very powerful. He rose very fast, but he fell very fast as well and died miserable somewhere in Saudi Arabia. We cannot sit back and watch the same tactics being used to our innocent Kenyans. If there are any policemen who are used to traumatize our children, blindfold them and throw them somewhere in a coffee plantation, in forests, taking somebody from Nairobi and then you throw them or dump them in Kajiado, dump them in Murang'a. Maybe somebody has never been there. Apart from the trauma, if you find yourself after being blindfolded, you open your eyes and they've taken your phone, you are in a place you've never been. Is that really a Kenyan dealing with a Kenyan? And if that child had just a phone, not a stone, maybe a gun, why take all the might on such a kid? Those are not lessons. And you cannot, anybody or any government that fears to reason uses force. And this is the government of Kenya Kwanza. They should stop and they should never ever take Kenyans for granted again.
I want to say on behalf of the Azimio coalition, we want to condemn these abductions. It is obvious there is a squad out there that their job is to abduct staff belonging to members of parliament, especially those who voted no, those Gen Zs who organize peaceful demonstrations. And we want to tell them that you will not take us back to the 90s. I can draw experience because I know in the 90s, that was the habit that was taken of abducting politicians and activists, moving them from one station to another. This is the year 2024 and we will not accept. And finally, we want to tell them that we have a new constitution, we have a judiciary, and we still have the option of the ICC, because some of these crimes are crimes against humanity. We will make sure we take every effort to bring those people to book. So I want to, right here, to just warn those officers who are moving around abducting our youth. And I want to ask our youth, any person who you know is still missing, kindly report to the nearest police station and make sure you obtain an OB number. We as the Azimio Coalition, we want to assure you we'll be there to support you to ensure everyone is released. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. We just took the most bold diplomatic step to come to the DCI to find out if we have information on the missing persons in this country. And I think we've left with more questions than answers. Because we thought that by coming here we get information on the whereabouts of some of these people who are abducted. Maybe we would be told that they are being held in certain and certain police stations, but that information is not forthcoming. That is not what we got. So we are left with the question, if the DCI does not know where these people are, who knows where these people are? And I think it's time our police force now comes up with a central information center where even missing persons can be reported and information is given, so that people don't have to go from one police station to the other looking for a certain person. We can just come to a central point and be told where so and so it's being held. That is what we had come to seek in the DCI, but we are not given that information. on the other issue of this rampant killing of our people, we've not come out with concrete information about who are involved in this killing of protesters. The orders to do the Githurai massacre, we were not told who was solely responsible for giving that order, the shoot to kill order. We need to know who gave out that order for people to go around shooting other people. Then the people who shot these people in Githurai, in Rongai, in town, there's no step that has been taken against them. We don't know who are the police officers who are involved in the shooting of these people, and that is why we are here to make sure that these people are also brought to book, because we live in a country that is governed by the rule of law. So we live here with more questions than answers. And the other issue of jurisdiction, where a person is abducted in Nairobi and found in Kajiado, we have asked that question, but no clear answer has come out. Because it is same now, and we are told if a person is arrested in Nairobi, they may be found in a certain police station, so that Kenyans have that information and people can act on that information without having that that issue of criminal withholding of information against the public. So we condemn everything that the government has done in this protest, and we also want to know what steps are going to be taken for justice for the people that have been murdered in this protest, and for those people who have lost their lives, for those people who have been injured, and for those people who have lost their property. The governments must be held accountable for all the actions that has taken place in this country. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have been clear.
Beyond those who have been abducted and those who are missing, I wish to call upon the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights and IPOA to know that the people of Kenya specifically put them in the constitution because the human rights movement conceived of these institutions as being independent and to be on the side of justice. We saw militia being paraded in Eldoret. We have seen the styles of abduction actually being similar to terrorism. How do you have police officers hooded? We have seen pictures of children with more than 10 bullets. What would a child be able to do in taking over a state house or taking over parliament? We have seen x-rays of a 5-year-old with more than 5 bullets. What is happening with these people? I wish to urge, even as LSK is working on these particular cases, we need Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, Chair Odede. We need IPOA to immediately move into the spaces where we've had militias being hired to stop protesters, and these families where children have been killed. We need to see them investigating, not for years, but for a few weeks, so that they can speak to the people of Kenya and tell the people of Kenya why anybody in their right minds can flash a lot of bullets in a child. I don't know where we are going. So I wish to ask that beyond what we have said today, we need a lot more to be done.
Yeah.